right, guys, so last lesson today over our little mini conic sections unit. This is 10.5, and the kind of the featured graph today is a hyperbola. So one of those cool math words. Another cool one that's in here. One of my favorites, as you know, asymptotes. So all kinds of fun stuff to talk about today. So a hyperbola it kind of looks like twin parabola, kind of looks like twin parabolas. You can see a couple examples there on the screen at the top. But there are two main types, and that is one with a horizontal opening. Its equation is in the form x squared over a squared minus y squared over b squared equals 1. That looks really familiar to what we did yesterday. Remember, yesterday's might say something like x squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared equals 1. So minus is kind of the big key, and obviously there are some other differences. But then you have your vertical opening where basically you just flip-flop x and y. We talk about similar stuff like we did yesterday. A and B yesterday meant vertices and co-vertices. That's what it means today, although we use them a bit differently. So this stuff is there for your information. I will go through a couple of these with you, okay? So let's go ahead and just, without further ado, get to it. All right, so just looking at looking at number one there, just looking at the visual, those those twin parabolas open to the side, right? So we say this graph opens horizontally. So why do we care? That tells me basically my form is going to be x squared first. So x squared over a squared minus y squared over b squared equals 1. And again, all that stuff's at the top, but that's the form of a horizontal opening hyperbola. Okay. Now A is or A are the vertices. Okay, so your vertices are actually part of the function. So we're thinking here and here. Or if it's horizontal, it's going to be on the x-axis. That's another way to say it. So those are plus or say A equals 3. We're just going to write a number there. Thinking of something else. Thinking about graphing them. They're already graphed for us. And then B is on your other axis. So looking at the y-axis, where do those dashed lines go through? And that would be 2, negative 2. So B is 2. So that's how you find vertices and then co-vertices. And then we just sub into our form. So it's x squared over a squared, which would be 9, minus y squared over b squared, which would be 4, and it's always equals 1, just like yesterday. This equation has a lot of similarities with yesterday's, which was over an ellipse. Okay? Anybody have any questions before you try one? All right, go ahead and try that next one. So notice which way it opens, and then try to find A and B and plug them in. All right, so visually looking at this, I can see that these have a vertical opening, so it opens vertically, which helps me to find my form, which would be y first. So y squared over a squared minus x squared over b squared equals 1. Okay, a is going to be 4 because of your 0 plus or minus 4 points, and then b, other axis, is going to be 3. When we plug in, we end up with the equation y squared over a squared is 16 minus x squared over 3 squared is 9, always equals 1. Anybody have any questions on that before we move on? Everybody's good? Going once, going twice? All right, let's go ahead and flip over. And we'll graph a couple, and that will be it. So pretty quick and to the point lesson here. Okay, so given an equation, how would we graph? And again, it gives us some good information there, especially on, you might be asked to write the equation of your asymptotes, which we'll use those. So we'll go over all that. All right, so our task here is to graph the equation x squared over 25 minus y squared over 16 equals 1. One thing that we note early on in the process is that, x squared comes first, so it opens horizontally. And now we'll go into like our a and b stuff. So it says a squared is 25, so a is 5. And again, it's got a horizontal opening, so I know the vertices then are, it's either going to be, 5, 0 or 0, 5. If it opens horizontally, that's an x coordinate, so plus or minus 5, 0. We'll go ahead and put those on the graph too. So 5, 0 and negative 5, 0. Next, we place the co-vertices. So b squared is 16, it says. So b is 4. So that tells me my co-vertices are at 0 plus or minus 4. There and there. It says draw the asymptotes and write their equations. So if we use b over a, that'd be y equals plus or minus 4 over 5. So we'll do all that in just a second. Before I do that, I am gonna kind of make that rectangle that goes through all of my vertices, my co-vertices and my vertices. That's another way that you could find asymptotes. Okay, so basically your asymptotes are not part of your function, but they can help you graph the function. Those are guidelines. Your asymptotes go from the origin, through the corners of your rectangle, that imaginary rectangle, right? So, so remember, if we kind of go from here to here, kind of think about how, that gives me that slope up 4 and over 5, right? Up 4 and over 5. Which if we look back at our equation, that's what it says. Okay, so I'm just going to extend that through both ways. And the other way as well. All right, then I'll just do my sketch, right? So remember, this is a sideways opening one, right? So this is actually part of my graph. I'm going to just kind of go through that and hug up to the dashed lines on both sides. All right, so that's basically it. Those are the high points. I'm going to give you guys about 2 minutes to try the next one. Your equation is y squared over 9 minus x squared over 36 equals 1. So try to fill in the blanks and graph it as best you can. Good thing about these two is you kind of have to know the algebra. You can't just type it in the graphing calculator. So it kind of makes you know it. All right, guys, let's go ahead and just go through this, see if you have any questions, and that's a lesson. So short and sweet today. Okay, anyways, our graph is going to open up. I do want you to notice here today, so vertically, notice on this one is what I meant to say, that A is not necessarily the bigger number, right? So A is under, A is smaller than B in this case. That couldn't happen yesterday. We always said A is the bigger number. In this case, A is always your first one, okay? So kind of notice that. It does open vertically because Y comes first, okay? So A, again, is going to be 3, not 6. If you were thinking about yesterday, you might have said it was 6, which is not a bad thought because that's how it was yesterday. So my vertices then are at, that's going to be a y coordinate, so 0, comma, plus or minus 3. So we have a point here and a point here, okay? And then b is going to be the square root of 36, or 6. That would be x coordinates there, so plus or minus 6, 0. So negative 6, 0, positive 6, 0. Now we kind of have it set up to go. My asymptotes are going to be at y equals plus or minus. You go up 3 and right 6, which we would just reduce to 1/2. So plus or minus 1 over 2. Okay? 1 over 2. So we can just graph that line, or we can go through the rectangle, whatever we want to do. So again, just making kind of my guidelines here, which are my asymptotes, which I screwed up there. Let's try that again. I got off course there. Okay, and then I'll just use my guidelines to help me to graph, and that'll be it. So just kind of hug up to those dashed lines. And that gives us a pretty good sketch of what this graph looks like. Does anyone have any questions now that you've seen it? I saw some erasing going on, so you may just kind of understand it after I do it. But does anybody have any questions? A mistake you made, or you're not really seeing it once I've shown it? Anybody got anything? Okay, so the Math Excel is posted. That is your last Math Excel for this little mini unit. I'll give you a day tomorrow to get a little bit of extra help. If you come in with all your Math Excels finished tomorrow, there'll be a chance to earn a little bit of extra credit. Nothing earth-shattering, but yeah, you can tee yourself up for some extra credit tomorrow, or just come in and plan to get them done tomorrow. Okay. You may already have a good number of them done because we've had this time at the end of class every time. But anyways, hopefully this helps. That's all I got. Signing off.